It was another busy morning at the cafe. I had arrived early to help the team set up, as I often did. Even though I owned the chain, I preferred to work alongside my staff whenever I could. It kept me grounded and gave me a chance to connect with the customers. The cafe was buzzing with its usual crowd, students buried in their laptops, parents grabbing coffee before the school run, and office workers rushing to get their caffeine fix. I had just finished making a caramel latte when the door opened, and in walked a couple. They looked out of place. The man was wearing an expensive suit, and the woman had a designer handbag dangling from her arm. They looked around, their expressions sour, as if the smell of freshly brewed coffee offended them. I greeted them with a smile. "Good morning. What can I get for you today?" The woman barely looked at me and muttered under her breath, "Figures." I wasn't sure what she meant, so I brushed it off. The man stepped forward and said, "Do you even know how to make a proper cappuccino? I don't want one of those watered-down excuses you people call coffee." His tone was sharp, and his words stung. But I nodded politely. "Of course, I'll make sure it's perfect for you." As I started preparing their order, the cafe hummed with the usual morning rush. The hiss of the steam wand and the clinking of cups filled the air, but it wasn't enough to drown out the woman's voice. She wasn't exactly trying to be discreet. Standing just a few feet away from the counter, she leaned closer to the man and spoke in a tone loud enough for me, and likely others nearby, to hear. "Look at this place," she said, her face contorted with disdain. She wrinkled her nose as if the very atmosphere offended her. "Probably run by someone who barely speaks English. No wonder it's so basic." I froze for a split second, my hand hovering over the milk pitcher. Her words stung, but I forced myself to focus on the task at hand. The man chuckled, glancing around with an amused smirk. "Yeah, they hire anyone these days," he said. "Bet they don't even have proper training. You get what you pay for, I guess." I could feel the weight of their words pressing down on me, but I reminded myself to stay calm. Years of experience in customer service had taught me that not everyone would be kind. My chest tightened, but I took a deep breath and continued steaming the milk, making sure the foam was just right. I glanced over at my staff. They were busy handling other customers, oblivious to the couple's remarks. For a moment, I considered saying something, but what good would it do? Confrontation wouldn't solve anything. When the drinks were ready, I placed them on the counter with a polite smile. "Here you go," I said, trying to keep my tone warm and professional. The man picked up his cup and took a sip, his expression souring almost instantly. He grimaced dramatically, holding the cup as though it contained something vile. "This is what I was afraid of," he said loudly. "Completely wrong. Can't you people do anything right?" My stomach churned, but I swallowed the frustration rising in my throat. "I'm sorry it's not to your liking," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I'd be happy to remake it for you." The woman let out an exaggerated sigh, rolling her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. "Forget it," she said dismissively. "Let's just go. Places like this are always a disappointment." They turned to leave, and I thought it was over. But just as they reached the door, the man paused. With an air of contempt, he tossed his half-full cup onto the counter. Coffee splashed everywhere, staining the countertop and dripping onto the floor. "You should stick to jobs you're good at, if there are any," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. Then he walked out, the woman following closely behind. I stood there for a moment, staring at the mess they'd left behind. My face burned with a mix of anger and humiliation, but I refused to let it show. Instead, I grabbed a cloth and began cleaning up the spilled coffee. As I wiped the counter, I reminded myself why I had started this business in the first place. This cafe wasn't just a place to serve coffee. It was a space I had built with love and hard work. A place where people could feel at home. No amount of unkindness could take that away from me. After the couple stormed out, I stood still for a moment, trying to compose myself. My heart was racing, a mix of frustration and hurt swirling inside me. I looked at the spilled coffee soaking into the counter and floor, took a deep breath and grabbed a cloth to clean it up. While I wiped away the mess, I couldn't help but reflect on everything it had taken to get here. This cafe, along with the others in the chain, was the result of countless late nights, personal sacrifices, and years of learning. I had poured my heart and soul into building something I was proud of, something that not only served great coffee, but also created a welcoming space for everyone. Not everyone understood that, though. People like the couple who had just left didn't see the hard work behind the scenes, the struggles, or the small victories. To them, I was just another face behind the counter. But I reminded myself that their words didn't define me. About an hour passed, and I had just started to relax when the cafe door swung open again. To my surprise, it was the same couple, but this time, they weren't alone. Standing with them was one of our regulars, Mr. Carter, a friendly local business owner who often stopped by for his morning espresso. The couple's confident demeanor from earlier was gone, replaced by visible unease. Their steps faltered as they spotted me behind the counter. The man stiffened, and the woman's expression froze. "This is him," Mr. Carter said warmly, gesturing toward me with a proud smile. "The owner of this entire cafe chain I was telling you about. He started from scratch and turned it into something amazing." I could see the color drain from their faces. The woman's mouth opened slightly, as though she wanted to say something, but no words came out. The man, who had been so smug earlier, suddenly looked uncomfortable. He cleared his throat awkwardly, his arrogance dissolving into uncertainty. "You own this place?" he asked hesitantly, his voice quieter now, almost cautious. I nodded, meeting his gaze calmly. "Yes," I replied. "I started this chain about 5 years ago. It's been quite a journey, but I'm proud of what we've built." Mr. Carter beamed. "And let me tell you, he's not just a great entrepreneur, he's one of the best baristas in town. You're lucky he made your coffee earlier," he added with a chuckle. The couple shifted uncomfortably, their earlier superiority replaced by visible embarrassment. The woman's eyes darted around the room, as though searching for an escape, while the man fumbled for a response. "That's impressive," the man finally mumbled, his tone lacking the confidence he had displayed earlier. The woman forced a tight smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. She looked like she wanted to disappear. I nodded politely, maintaining my composure. "Thank you," I said simply, my voice steady but firm. The awkward silence that followed felt heavy, almost suffocating. Finally, the couple muttered a few hurried goodbyes and made a beeline for the door, leaving Mr. Carter and me alone at the counter. As the door closed behind them, I let out a quiet breath. Mr. Carter clapped me on the shoulder with a grin. "You handled that well," he said. "Not everyone would have been so composed." I smiled faintly. "I've learned that it's not worth letting people like that get to you. At the end of the day, you just have to keep moving forward." Mr. Carter nodded, his respect for me evident. "You're an inspiration, my friend. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." The man fumbled for words, his earlier confidence completely gone. "We didn't mean to. We were just..." His voice trailed off as he glanced at the woman, as though searching for her help. I held up a hand to stop him, my tone calm but firm. "It's okay," I said, looking at both of them directly. "But I believe everyone deserves respect, regardless of their job or background. That's the culture we try to promote here." The woman's face turned crimson. She clutched her handbag tightly, her fingers gripping the strap as though it were the only thing keeping her grounded. "We're sorry," she murmured, her eyes fixed on the floor. "We didn't realize." I offered a faint smile, not out of triumph but out of understanding. "It's all right," I said gently. "We all have bad days. I just hope that next time, you treat the people serving you with a little more kindness. A small act of respect can make a big difference." They both nodded, muttering apologies under their breath. Their once smug and superior demeanor had crumbled entirely, replaced by an almost childlike embarrassment. Without another word, they turned and hurried out the door, their heads down, avoiding eye contact with anyone in the cafe. As the door swung shut behind them, I let out a long, deep breath. The tension that had been building in my chest finally eased. I glanced over at Mr. Carter, who was still standing by the counter, watching the couple leave with a knowing smile. He clapped me on the back. "You handled that well," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "Not everyone would have been so composed in your shoes." I shrugged, a small smile tugging at the corners of my lips. "Life's too short to hold grudges," I said. "Besides, kindness is free. And it's one of the few things that can make the world a little better, one small gesture at a time." Mystery, Carter nodded approvingly. That's why this place is so special. It's not just the coffee, it's the heart behind it. His words warmed me, and I felt a surge of gratitude for the journey that had brought me here. This cafe wasn't just a business to me, it was a reflection of my values, a space where people could feel seen and appreciated, no matter who they were. Moments like this reminded me why I had started it all in the first place. I returned to the counter, slipping back into the rhythm of my work. The familiar sound of the espresso machine, the laughter of customers, and the hum of conversations filled the air, grounding me. As I prepared the next order, I couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. That day, I wasn't just grateful for the success of my business, I was grateful for the lessons along the way. Challenges like this reminded me that every person who walked through those doors, whether kind or unkind, was an opportunity to show the power of compassion and humility. And as I handed the next customer their drink with a warm smile, I knew that no matter what, this cafe would always be more than just a place for coffee. It would be a place for connection, understanding, and respect. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this story as much as we loved creating it for you. If it touched your heart or made you think, let us know. Your support means everything to us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and emotional stories. Like this video if it resonated with you, it really helps us reach more people. Comment below and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your perspective. Share this video with your friends and family. Spread the message of kindness and understanding. Every like, comment, and share helps us grow and continue bringing meaningful stories to your screen. Let's build a community of positivity together. What story should we tell next? Drop your ideas in the comments. Thank you for being part of our journey. See you in the next video.